The wrestling world has been shaken to its core as devastating news emerges that has left fans around the globe struggling to process an unimaginable tragedy. Jacob Fatu, one of the most electrifying and powerful forces in professional wrestling, has reportedly passed away, sending shockwaves through the WWE universe and beyond. This loss hits particularly hard because Jacob wasn't just another wrestler on the roster. He was a phenomenon, a third-generation superstar carrying one of the most legendary bloodlines in the history of the sport, and a performer who seemed destined to reach heights that few could ever dream of achieving. The outpouring of grief from fans, fellow wrestlers, and everyone who ever had the privilege of watching him perform has been overwhelming, with tributes flooding social media platforms and wrestling communities worldwide struggling to come to terms with this heartbreaking reality. Before we dive deeper into this tragedy and celebrate the incredible life of Jacob Fatu, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any updates from the world of wrestling. Jacob Fatu wasn't just born into wrestling royalty. He was practically born in the ring itself, with the sport coursing through his veins from the moment he took his first breath. As a member of the legendary Anoa'i family, Jacob carried a name that resonated with decades of excellence, power, and dominance in professional wrestling. His lineage connected him to some of the greatest names the business has ever seen, from The Rock to Roman Reigns, from Yokozuna to Rikishi, and from the Usos to Omega. Growing up surrounded by these titans of the industry, Jacob didn't just learn wrestling moves and techniques. He absorbed the culture, the passion, the dedication, and the sheer will to excellence that has defined his family for generations. From an early age, everyone who watched him could see that Jacob possessed something special, something that went beyond just having a famous last name. He had an intensity in his eyes, a raw power in his movements, and a natural charisma that couldn't be taught or manufactured. When Jacob first stepped into a wrestling ring professionally, he didn't ride on his family name or expect opportunities to be handed to him. Instead, he threw himself into the independent wrestling scene with a ferocity that immediately caught everyone's attention. He wrestled in small venues, high school gyms, and community centers, grinding it out night after night, honing his craft and building a reputation one match at a time. Those early years were crucial in shaping Jacob into the performer he would become, teaching him the value of hard work, the importance of connecting with audiences regardless of venue size, and the reality that respect in this business must be earned through sweat, sacrifice, and consistent excellence. Wrestling fans who followed the independent circuit during those years witnessed something extraordinary developing before their eyes. Jacob wasn't content to simply be good or even great. He pushed himself to become something more, combining the traditional power style associated with his family with an athleticism and agility that seemed impossible for someone of his size and build. Jacob's work in Major League Wrestling became the stuff of legend and the platform where he truly announced himself as a force that could not be ignored. His run as the MLW World Heavyweight Champion wasn't just successful. It was absolutely dominant in a way that reminded longtime fans of the great monster heels and unstoppable champions of wrestling's golden eras. Match after match, Jacob demolished opponents with a combination of devastating power moves, surprising speed, and an almost scary intensity that made every contest feel like a fight for survival. His moonsaults defied physics and logic, with a man of his size launching himself through the air with the grace of a cruiserweight while landing with the impact of a freight train. The hip attacks he delivered looked capable of sending opponents into next week, and his overall presence in the ring commanded attention in a way that only truly special performers can achieve. Fans packed venues to see Jacob perform, knowing they were witnessing something rare and perhaps even historic in the making. The anticipation surrounding Jacob's potential arrival in WWE reached fever pitch as his dominance on the independent scene continued to grow. Wrestling insiders, journalists, and fans all speculated endlessly about when, not if, Jacob would make the jump to the biggest stage in professional wrestling. The pieces seemed to fit perfectly. WWE had increasingly embraced and celebrated the Anoa'i family legacy, with Roman Reigns leading the Bloodline faction to become the most dominant and talked about act in all of wrestling. The logical progression seemed inevitable. Jacob Fatu would join his cousins, bringing his unique blend of power and athleticism to WWE programming and adding another dimension to the already formidable Bloodline stable. The dream matches were endless and tantalizing to imagine. Jacob versus Roman Reigns in a battle for family supremacy. Jacob and the Usos creating an unstoppable force in the tag team division. Jacob as the enforcer who could give the Bloodline an even more dangerous edge. Every possible scenario had fans creating fantasy booking threads, debating potential storylines, and counting down the days until Jacob would finally step into a WWE ring. Throughout his career, Jacob demonstrated qualities that went far beyond his physical abilities and in-ring performance. He showed a deep respect for the wrestling business, understanding that he was part of a legacy that stretched back generations and would hopefully continue for generations to come. He studied the history of his family's contributions to wrestling, learning from the successes and mistakes of those who came before him, and always striving to honor the Anoa'i name with every performance. Jacob also proved to be incredibly generous with younger wrestlers, often taking time to offer advice, share techniques, and encourage those just starting their journeys in the business. He understood that professional wrestling is built on veterans helping to train and prepare the next generation, and he took that responsibility seriously despite being relatively young himself. Stories from wrestlers who worked with Jacob consistently highlighted his professionalism, his willingness to collaborate on creating the best possible matches, and his dedication to making his opponents look good even while establishing his own dominance. Jacob's connection with fans transcended the typical wrestler-audience relationship and became something genuinely special. People didn't just cheer for Jacob because of his family name or his impressive physical abilities. They connected with him on a human level, seeing in him a person who genuinely loved what he did and gave everything he had every single time he stepped between those ropes. His social media presence showed a man who was humble, grateful, and deeply appreciative of the support he received from the wrestling community. He regularly interacted with fans, thanked them for their support, and shared glimpses into his life outside the ring that made him relatable and real. When fans met Jacob at independent shows, conventions, or chance encounters, they consistently reported that he was kind, gracious, and genuinely interested in talking with them. These interactions created loyal supporters who didn't just admire Jacob as a performer but genuinely cared about him as a person. The physical toll that professional wrestling takes on the human body cannot be overstated or underestimated. Every match involves impacts, bumps, and movements that push the body to its absolute limits and often beyond what should be physically possible. Wrestlers perform when they're injured, when they're exhausted, and when their bodies are screaming at them to rest, all because the show must go on and the fans deserve the best performance possible. Jacob wrestled with a style that was particularly punishing, throwing his substantial frame through the air and landing on unforgiving canvas night after night. The moonsaults that thrilled audiences put tremendous stress on his knees, ankles, and back every single time he executed them. The powerful strikes and impacts he delivered also meant absorbing tremendous force through his own body. Over time, these accumulated stresses and impacts can have serious effects on overall health, and wrestlers often hide the full extent of their pain and injuries to avoid being taken off shows or losing opportunities. The news of Jacob's passing has raised important questions about wrestler health, safety protocols, and the support systems available to performers in the wrestling industry. While specific details surrounding his death have not been fully disclosed, the tragedy has reignited conversations about the need for comprehensive health monitoring, mental health support, and safety measures for all wrestlers regardless of what company they work for or what level they perform at. Too many wrestlers have been lost far too young, their lives cut short by the accumulated damage of years in the ring, by undiagnosed health conditions, or by struggles that they faced outside the public eye. Each loss is devastating, but each one also provides an opportunity for the industry to examine its practices, improve its support systems, and potentially prevent future tragedies. The hope is that Jacob's passing, as heartbreaking as it is, might lead to positive changes that could protect other wrestlers and ensure they receive the care and support they need both during and after their careers. The tributes that have poured in following the news of Jacob's death demonstrate just how deeply he touched people's lives and how respected he was throughout the wrestling community. Fellow wrestlers have shared heartfelt messages expressing their shock, grief, and admiration for Jacob both as a performer and as a person. Many have recounted specific memories of working with him, describing his passion for the business, his willingness to help others improve, and the positive energy he brought to locker rooms wherever he performed. Promoters and wrestling personalities have spoken about Jacob's professionalism, his reliability, and the way he elevated every show he appeared on simply by being part of it. Fans have created countless tribute videos, artwork, and written remembrances celebrating Jacob's matches, his moments, and the impact he had on their love of wrestling. The overwhelming consensus from everyone who knew Jacob or watched him perform is that wrestling has lost someone truly special, someone who represented the best of what the business can produce, and someone whose potential was only beginning to be fully realized. The Anoa'i family has suffered an unimaginable loss with Jacob's passing, and the wrestling world's thoughts and prayers are with them during this incredibly difficult time. This family has given so much to professional wrestling over the decades, entertaining millions of fans and producing generation after generation of incredibly talented performers. They have celebrated tremendous successes and championship victories, but they have also endured their share of tragedies and losses over the years. The tight bonds that connect the Anoa'i family members are well known throughout wrestling, with the family supporting each other through both triumphs and hardships. Jacob was deeply loved by his family, and his loss will be felt profoundly by his relatives both in and out of the wrestling business. The support and love being sent to the Anoa'i family from the global wrestling community is a testament to the respect and affection that fans have for this legendary family and recognition of the pain they are experiencing. Reflecting on Jacob Fatu's career and life brings both sadness and celebration. The sadness comes from knowing that we will never see the full realization of his potential, never witness the dream matches that seemed inevitable, and never experience the joy of watching him continue to grow and evolve as a performer. We will never see him stand in a WWE ring at WrestleMania, capturing championship gold on the grandest stage, or becoming the main event star that so many believed he was destined to become. Those possibilities are gone, stolen away far too soon, leaving only the painful reality of what might have been. However, there is also reason to celebrate because Jacob's time in wrestling, while tragically cut short, was filled with incredible moments that will live on forever. His matches in MLW and on the independent circuit showcased a talent that was undeniable and created memories that fans will treasure for the rest of their lives. Jacob proved that he belonged among the elite performers in the wrestling business, and he did honor to his family's legacy every single time he stepped into a ring. The impact Jacob Fatu had on wrestling extends beyond his matches and championships. He inspired countless young wrestlers who saw in him proof that dedication, hard work, and respect for the business could lead to success. He showed that carrying a famous family name comes with responsibility but also with the opportunity to add your own unique chapter to that legacy. Jacob demonstrated that you could be powerful and athletic, intimidating and charismatic, dominant and generous all at the same time. Young wrestlers watching Jacob saw someone who looked like them, who came from similar backgrounds, and who proved that the dream of making it in professional wrestling was attainable with enough passion and perseverance. That inspirational impact will continue even with Jacob's tragic passing, as those he influenced will carry forward the lessons they learned from watching him perform and, for the fortunate few, from interacting with him personally. Professional wrestling is a unique form of entertainment that creates bonds between performers and fans unlike almost any other medium. We watch these athletes put their bodies on the line to entertain us, and in return, we invest emotionally in their journeys, celebrating their victories and mourning their defeats. When a wrestler passes away, especially someone as young and talented as Jacob Fatu, it feels personal to fans because we feel like we knew them through their performances, their interviews, and their presence in our lives through the shows we watched. Jacob brought joy to countless fans through his incredible athletic performances, and that connection is why his loss is being felt so deeply throughout the wrestling community. Fans are mourning not just the loss of an entertainer but the loss of someone who felt like part of their wrestling family, someone whose career they had followed and whose future they had invested in emotionally. The legacy Jacob Fatu leaves behind is one of excellence, dedication, and unfulfilled potential that makes his passing even more heartbreaking. He proved beyond any doubt that he had the talent, the presence, and the work ethic to become a major star in professional wrestling. He honored his family's incredible legacy while creating his own unique identity in the ring. He connected with fans in authentic ways that created genuine support and affection. He helped younger wrestlers and contributed positively to the wrestling community wherever he performed. These accomplishments and qualities ensure that Jacob will be remembered fondly and that his contributions to wrestling will not be forgotten. Video footage of his matches will continue to be watched and appreciated by wrestling fans for years to come, introducing new generations to the incredible talent that was Jacob Fatu and ensuring that his memory lives on through the thing he loved most, professional wrestling. As the wrestling world processes this devastating loss and begins to move forward while honoring Jacob's memory, it is important that we also take action to prevent future tragedies. Wrestling promotions, organizations, and the industry as a whole must prioritize wrestler health and safety above all else. Comprehensive medical screenings, mental health resources, and support systems must be available to all wrestlers regardless of their status or the size of the promotion they work for. The culture within wrestling that often discourages performers from admitting injury or seeking help must change, replaced by an environment where health and well-being are valued as much as toughness and dedication. Retired wrestlers need access to healthcare and support services to deal with the long-term effects of their years in the ring. These changes will not bring Jacob back, but they could help protect other wrestlers and potentially prevent other families from experiencing the pain that the Inoue family is currently enduring. The conversations happening throughout the wrestling community following Jacob's passing demonstrate how much people cared about him and how significant his loss truly is. Online forums, social media platforms, and wrestling websites are filled with discussions about Jacob's best matches, his most impressive moments, and memories of his performances. Fans are sharing the first time they saw Jacob wrestle, the matches that made them true believers in his talent, and their hopes for what his future would hold. These conversations, while tinged with sadness, also serve as a beautiful tribute to the impact Jacob had during his time in wrestling. They prove that he mattered, that his work was appreciated, and that he will be genuinely missed by people all over the world who never met him personally but felt connected to him through his performances. Jacob Fatu's story is ultimately one of a talented young man who loved professional wrestling and dedicated his life to excelling in that field. He came from a legendary family but worked tirelessly to earn respect based on his own merits and abilities. He thrilled audiences with his incredible combination of size, power, and athleticism. He showed respect for the business and generosity toward his peers. He connected authentically with fans who supported him throughout his journey. His potential seemed limitless, and his future appeared bright with possibilities. The fact that his life and career have been cut tragically short is devastating and serves as a reminder of how fragile life can be and how important it is to appreciate the performers we love while we can. The wrestling world has lost someone special, someone who represented the best of what this business can produce, and someone who deserved so much more time to achieve the greatness that seemed destined for him. As we remember Jacob Fatu and mourn his passing, let us also celebrate the time we had to witness his incredible talent and the moments of joy he provided to wrestling fans around the world. Let us support his family during this unimaginably difficult time and send them love, strength, and prayers as they navigate their grief. Let us honor Jacob's memory by appreciating the wrestlers who are still with us, by supporting positive changes in the wrestling industry that prioritize performer health and safety, and by keeping Jacob's legacy alive through sharing memories of his matches and moments. Jacob Fatu may be gone far too soon, but the impact he had on professional wrestling and the memories he created will endure, ensuring that he will never be forgotten by those who had the privilege of watching him perform. Rest in peace, Jacob Fatu. Thank you for everything you gave to professional wrestling and to the fans who loved watching you do what you did best. You will be deeply missed but forever remembered. If you want to stay updated on everything happening in the wrestling world and continue honoring the legacies of great performers like Jacob Fatu, please subscribe to our channel and join our community of passionate wrestling fans.